Welcome, everybody. Let's call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Lamar.
Present.
Mr. Kubicki.
Present. All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I guess before we kind of begin the meeting, we're kind of in an unusual situation here. I have some sad news to announce for those that don't already know. That if you're wondering what these flowers are for, our fellow Columbia Township trustee and colleague Susan Hughes passed away this weekend, sadly. And she lost a long battle with an illness and had her loving family by her side. And really, it's extremely tough on all of us because Susan, to everyone here, Susan has always been here. She's been here longer than anybody. She was a trustee for 26 years. She was also a lifelong resident of Columbia Township. She was here during the worst of times for our township and still here for the best of times. Over a quarter of a century she spent here. Susan's seen it all. She loved this community and always served with a sweet and honorable soul. She loved what this township had become, watching how much the township has improved over the years and become a sense of community, and she was there for the whole thing. She loved coming to township events and seeing people coming together and having fun and just smiling. She'd often bring her kids and her grandkids because it was really her community. She felt it. I will always remember her being there at those events and kind of patting me on the arm very softly, and she'd say, "David, you did good." And she was so proud of what was going on. I'd always politely correct her and say, "No, Susan, we did good." She loved the trees, flowers, and animals, was passionate about it, was also very proud to be an advocate for our NED, Neighborhood Improvement Program, because that put more trees in our community, and she loved plants and trees. These flowers that are here are a subtle tribute to Susan and her love of flowers, nature, and plants. And really, for me, it's just so surreal that after every day I've stepped in, she has been a part of it. She won't be here after all these years. It's so surreal. She'd even come to the meetings when she wasn't feeling well. She always wanted to be a part of everything and didn't want to miss anything. In fact, she was here in a wheelchair in our last meeting, working tirelessly to continue to be a part of all the things that we're doing to improve her beloved community. She served till the end, and I'll miss her dearly. And to kind of steal a line from Susan, you did good, really good. And really, if you really sum up the word good with Susan, that's what she was, just a really good person, a sweet soul and a good person. So anyway, our thoughts and our prayers go out to her and her husband, Lenny, and to all her and her husband, Lenny, and to all of their beautiful family. We're all still in the state of shock and grief, but we'll find a way to tribute her in a more formal way in the future. Have a lot of ideas in mind, but we'll continue to scrub through this because we're still kind of in shock. Now I'm going to ask a few of the people on our team maybe say a few words about Susan, if they will, and then we'll go on and do our township business. So this is for Susan. Brian, I'll start with you.
First off, beautiful words, thank you. His words were very true, and I don't want to add a whole lot more, but I will say that I miss her, and she served this community longer than I even lived in it. She's a mentor to me, not just politically, but as just a person. She loved serving this community. She loved the teamwork that we had as a board. She was proud of the progress that we've made, and she's in a unique position to see it all happen, come to fruition. I came in at a fortunate time. We have Jed Z money, we have medical marijuana money, we have great administrators, and it was very easy compared to what she has gone through in this position. In 26 years, she saw a lot of challenges, and she persevered through them and was tough. And if there's any solace in this, is that she got to see the amazing progress we made. And I wanted to share a couple funny stories really quick. First one, and this really, I feel like this describes Susan, these couple stories, is that I had an election and I had some signs missing, and I was confused, and she called me up. She's like, "Brian, I know where they are. Go look here." I was like, "What are you talking about, Susan?" She's like, trust me, go look here. And I went, and there they were. Like, Susan had guessed been doing the same thing at some point in her life and told me where to look for them. And I thought that was a really funny conversation we had. And another one is our first 50 West event with a concert. And I'm glad that Bobby and Charlie are here. And we had a concert, and I was really new. I didn't really know anybody. And it was an amazing concept. It was beautiful. And but nobody was dancing. And Susan came up and she said, let's go dance. I said, oh, I'm not dancing. I'm not a dancer. And she grabbed Lauren and she ran up and she went to the dance floor and they danced in the sand, and that led the way for all these people dancing the rest of the night. And I thought that showed just her strength and her leadership abilities. And one more quick one is that our first, I think, open house at the Deer Park Silverton Firehouse, and it was really fun, and we were going to shoot the fire hose, and the fire chief said, hey, who wants to go shoot the fire hose? And no one wanted to be first. Susan was first, and she went up there, and we have documented all of her just shooting the fire hose at a target, and she's older and having a little bit of a tough time with it, but it led the way, and ever since she did that, there was a long line of people wanting to shoot the fire hose. So she showed how tough she was, what kind of leader she was in this community in so many ways. And I'll always remember that. And like David said, we're thinking about ways to honor her. And she loved trees and flowers and animals. And so we'll think of something to properly honor her. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Caroline?
I wrote a few things down so I wouldn't forget. It's short, I promise. Most of all, I respected Susan. Susan was welcoming and generous with her experience. She told a good story, which I admire. Her love for her family was abundantly clear, which I also admire. I hope that her memory will be a comfort to her family. I know it will be to me.
I see Lauren, I want to let you say something. Our resident service coordinator's out in the audience.
Susan was, you always knew how much she loved the township. And just, I know on behalf of me and the whole staff here, it was so to work with her and work with her. And, our hearts go out to Lenny and her whole family. Yeah.
Thank you. And Melissa, last but not least.
So Susan was indeed sweet and had a deadly dry sense of humor that she could quite deliver the zingers. One of the things that I don't know if a lot of people know about Susan is that I know that everyone knew that she stood for, you put the community before you put a personal agenda. She had worked with bad actors, both elected and staff, and she never wanted the township to be like that again after everyone worked to move the township to the professional organization that it is today. So she always said that she wanted to make sure that we were ethical and truthful in managing the finances. So when I was interviewing for the position of administrator 4 years and some change ago, Mike Lemon, my predecessor, said, I don't know if she'll continue this with you, but I had a standing appointment with Susan every Friday at 4 p.m. And I said, well, I imagine that she will. And so sure enough, for the last 4 years, I've had a standing appointment with Susan every Friday at 4 p.m. I can tell you, I can count on less than one hand the times that she was not able to make it. She either came into the building and it was 60 minutes, 90 minutes, or it was a phone call, and it was going over all of the major financial decisions, all of the program updates, and a reminder that we were to be ethical, truthful, and to put the community in front of personal agendas and political agendas. She was very fierce about that. So Susan would send me cards every so often. I know that she did that with a lot of other people. This is one of the last ones that she sent to me, which I loved because it had the margarita theme. It was after one of our events. She said, thank you for everything that you do, Mel. I am so proud to have you as our administrator. I cannot wait to plant many beautiful plants all over the township with you. I am really and totally taken aback and humbled that you're working with us and with me. Love, Susan.
Thank you. We'll distribute to Susan. These flowers are here for Susan, so Susan, you're still here with us in spirit, so thank you. Thank you for serving the community so greatly and so honorably for so long. Sweet soul, and you'll be sorely missed. So, and again, thoughts and prayers to her and her family. She touched a lot of lives.
And Lenny is still our family, and we will take care of him.
Okay, now we go, switch gears here, and we go on to, I make a motion, it's hard to go segue from that, so just give this a second. Okay, now we go and make a motion of approval and signing of the minutes, the regular meeting minutes of November 14, 2023. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes. Okay, we'll keep thinking there's a third one. This is hard. Okay, make a motion to approve and signing of the minutes, special meeting minutes for November 28th, 2023. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes. Now we move on to open forum. People signed in to speak to
Yes.
open forum.
I have Bobby Slattery.
Yeah.
Did you want to speak, or you just
Yes, I
signed
would.
it? Okay.
Welcome,
Please
Bobby. If you could
have
stand
at
up and
it.
tell us who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, am I okay standing right here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Bobby Slattery. I'm the owner of 50 West Brewing Company. And I'm here today kind of in a little bit of a different mode than the other times that I've come to visit. It's traditionally, over the years, I've come to this is probably my 5th or 6th meeting that I've been at. Typically, it was to talk to you guys about whether it was a sign that was going up that we were trying to figure out. I guess in most ways, I was typically asking you guys for some sort of support or help. And the reason I'm here today has nothing to do with that. It's the holiday season, and I thought it would just be a nice time to come in here and say thank you. So coming off the holiday event from, what was that, a week and a half ago? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
But one of the things I've seen, David, I've been with you for 13 years. And when I first came into this community, I don't know if I knew what Columbia Township was. I think in most part, it was a roadblock to whatever it was that I wanted to have accomplished. Not that the community was actively trying to stop anything. It just, we had to go through you guys for the rules and regulations of accomplishing what we wanted to accomplish. And as you know, there's a lot of opinions, there's a lot of things that come into play. But one of the things that, David, you said when we first came to the community is we're here to help you. We're here to help make things happen. And so to watch over those 13 years from where that community started when I first got here to where we are today, I think sitting at that holiday event and looking at the community's ability to bring people together, to really just show that they care about people, show that they care about the community, and show that they're willing to be creative and think outside the box. It's such a joy to be a part of this community. To be a business owner in this community. And as you guys have known, 50 West has grown a long way since we first said, hey, we're gonna do this. So we're building in other spaces. We have another opportunity in Deerfield Township that we're taking advantage of. And one of the things that I hope is that community is even just a portion of what we've gotten from you guys with Columbia Township. So really, I'm just here to say thank you. I'm here to say, I appreciate that vision, David, that you had. For saying, hey, this is what we're going to be in the future. I think that you're there now, and I'm just flattered to be a part of it. So, with in the holiday spirit and with all the things going on right now, I'm just here to say thank you, and I appreciate being part of it.
And the event that Bobby's alluding to is our holiday event and tree lighting over in Madison Place. And to Bobby's point, for 13 years we've been there when it's rained, it's been cold, and
Yeah, I've seen it all.
and all kinds of. We had a hot chocolate one, your pizza, and whatever. And then this team of people came up with the idea of doing carriage rides and consolidating the event. And I think, Charlie's out there too. We sat there and looked and thought, wow, this is exactly what we've been trying to do for 13 years, and you felt it. The fires were going, Santa Claus was there, the carolers, and watching those kids standing in line to go on those carriage rides was magic. I looked at everybody and I was moved. And it's not, I mean, a lot of those people, it's not really the part of the community I live in, so I don't really know it, but I just saw those kids standing in line and said to Melissa, and I said to Lauren, I said, sometimes I weigh in my opinion, and I would have thought, carriage rides, really? That's kind of corny. I said, but I would have been dead wrong, because it was brilliant, and it was just incredible to watch. So
I also think, David, I don't think that was the combination. It was a very well put together event, but I think it's the combination of
all of the things that you guys have been doing
Yes.
to build to that. I think when you have community events now, the community understands what that goal is.
Yes.
Trying to be accomplished. So yes, the carriage rides were great, and Santa Claus and blocking off the street and all those things. But I think that you've really reached a point where you've done this. And one of the scariest parts, I'm in this business. One of the scariest parts about hosting events, sometimes they fail and it doesn't feel good. And we've sat, David, we've sat in the rain and outside the hardware store and looked at this going, is this crazy? But I think over time, just what you guys have done and the creativity and being willing to take chances and it's just really nice to be a part of this community. I think you guys should all be very proud of yourselves, and I'm just here to say thank you. So.
And also a shout out to Lauren, our resident service coordinator, who's in the
yes.
audience, and then Chandra Buswell from Fairfax, who we bring in as well, and obviously everybody else. But Bobby, thank you, and thank you for being you guys. And what I love about you guys, whatever we ask you guys to do, anything, you not only serve, but you guys come in, the leadership, the owners, the kings come in and serve, and that goes a long, long way. It's been an incredible relationship, and it's so cool to see you guys grow as a flagship brand of Columbia Township. And I love it when I see your flyers go out and they say Columbia Township on them. I'm just saying, I mean, that's part of our community brand and our pride. So you guys are incredible. Keep going and go to Deerfield Township and fly the Columbia Township flag and go to the moon. And tell them you're not Deerfield Township, you're Columbia Township. So it's good. So thank you, and thanks for taking the time. So I appreciate that.
Thanks, Bobby.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Thank you. Charlie Severe?
Hi, I work with Bobby. I'm with Slats Group, and I'm Vice President of Events for Charity, which is a 501c3 organization. Bobby's really good off the cuff and charming. I've written down kind of my thoughts today, so bear with me.
And I'm a hybrid of both.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say, a couple years back, my mom had a medical emergency of AFib, and it led to a critical allergic reaction during her hospital stay because they gave her a medication that she had an allergic reaction to, and we all faced a moment where we nearly lost her. So fast forward a couple of weeks later, and during a subsequent Columbia Township trustee meeting, I was talking about it with Susan Hughes, and to my surprise, she revealed that she too struggled with arterial fibrillation. And in that moment, she extended kindness and support, and from then on, every interaction we ever had included her sincere inquiries about my mom's well-being. Susan embodied compassion. She genuinely cared about people, about Columbia Township, and about our community. Her enthusiasm for the significant growth in Columbia Township over the past decade is evident, and it's safe to say that much of this progress wouldn't have been possible without her active support and participation. One of the events that stands out is what Bobby just mentioned, which is the recent tree lighting ceremony in Madison Place. Susan's absence was deeply felt, but the event was a testimony to the unity she fostered within our community. It brought together the residents of Columbia Township in a beautiful Christmas celebration that left lasting memories for children and families. Credit is due not only to Susan, but the incredible Columbia Township team. Today, on behalf of Bobby and Bob Slattery and the rest of our family and companies, I wanted to extend our condolences to Susan's husband, Leonard, her family, and her 2 grandchildren. I recall the joy in her voice when speaking about her eldest grandchild, and it's evident that family meant the world to her. And I also wanted to acknowledge the remarkable work of the trustees, led by Melissa Taylor as the administrator, and the entire team. Caroline, Lauren, Brian, everyone. Your ongoing dedication to supporting residents and small businesses in Columbia Township does not go unnoticed. Thank you for your hard work and unwavering support, and let's remember Susan for the caring and vibrant person she was, and let's honor her legacy by continuing to build the community she loves so dearly. Thank you. And thanks to everybody here for your support of small businesses and our community.
It's so nice.
Thank you for your sweet words. I know that it goes a long way with her family. So, Charlie, thank you for taking the time to share that with us. It means a lot to all of us, and especially Susan's family. So, thank
Thanks
you.
for letting me speak. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Tom Schramm?
Tom Schramm from Indian Hill Place. First time I attended a meeting here was about 5 years ago when I became president of the HOA. And the first person I met was Susan. And she welcomed me and said she appreciated me coming because it was the first time anybody from our community had attended. Over the next years, she was always welcoming me, thanking me And when I went to the first celebration down at 50 West that you all hosted so well, my wife and I sat with Susan and Lenny, and we had a delightful conversation. And all she could talk about was, you know, integrity and honor, and how she was so proud of Columbia Township, and she was grateful that we had attended. And when I had a medical problem later, a couple of years ago, it was Susan who called me and sent me a card and wished me well. And from those of us at Indian Hill Place, we just want to join everyone else in sending our condolences to the family, and also express our gratitude to David, Brian, Caroline, Melissa, Lauren, and the whole staff for what they do to help the township. We're all better off for it. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. And again, appreciate these kind words, and the township meant everything to Susan. So, Susan, you did good. Great stuff. Thank you, thank you.
Next, we have Michael Ty.
I think everybody else's, that's Susan, Shane, she was a good, we always didn't get along, but she was a good mother, good wife. So at the end of the day, that's how you judge. First thing is, and I know you're hopefully, close, you're going to bring it up toward the, when you read the establishing employees' hourly rates, are you going to explain what the percentage raise is when you read the,
Yes.
right, okay. And also it says here, bonuses recognized to employees. First of all, this is not a negative. We have the best basic services in the county, and that started back in the 70s.
Yes, we do.
And it's always been great. So, and it's good that you're recognizing the employees. Just have a little bit of transparency. And finally, one more thing. I see where Kimberly Gray, you're having some kind of a general release with Kimberly. Kimberly was the face and the voice of the township for 25 years. I don't know what happened. There's a lot of rumors. And I would like to have something to address why where we're at with that. So, but,
What you'd like?
where we're at with that, why was she released? Did she resign? Or what would happen? You know, for 25 years, when you called, she was the one who answered the phone. When you came in the door, she was the one that was there. And I don't know, but and then ultimately, at the end of the day, you got two remaining trustees. Got 30 days to appoint a new trustee. I know it's not good to talk about, but I would hope that we would open it up to the public, and somebody go on Facebook, go on social media, and see if there's somebody in the townships willing to serve. You don't have to do that, but I think that would be an idea to just open it up. You never know, somebody else might step up who's willing to serve the community. I don't know if they're for 25 years like Susan, but it'd be nice to have something like that. And when we do that, maybe we ought to look at our community. We don't have any minority people now working for the township, or any minorities as our representatives. So maybe we ought to look into reaching out to the African American community and see if anybody's willing to serve. So.
Okay. Well, first of all, as far as the personnel matters is a matter of law, are confidential, so we got to be very careful with what we say there. But we wish Kim well, and as far as doing, working with the new to find a replacement, it's hard for me to even bring that up here, which we're paying tribute to Susan.
Right.
But we'll follow the rules, we'll follow the laws, we'll take your ideas into consideration, and we'll do the right thing to keep the township moving forward in a positive direction, as we always do. So I appreciate your kind words about Susan. It's good to hear. And again, I know you probably had your differences, but but sorry, I appreciate you taking the time to say those kind words, because she was a great person and a great mother, to your point.
And she's suffered a lot.
Yes,
It's pretty obvious when
yes,
she came to the meeting.
yes, she was. But,
I know she's in a better place.
yes, so, okay. Anybody else sign in?
Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Jack Fuchs.
And I know I probably forgot to do with him, but just for the sake of the record, address.
Jack,
Jack,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
7700 Ashby Drive, Cincinnati.
Yes.
in Williams Meadow, part of Columbia Township.
Neighbor, my neighbor for 30 years, so.
Yeah.
I know who he is, but yes. Go ahead.
And again, nice things to say about Susan. I'd urge you to think about, she loved the trees so much, think about doing some kind of dedication on trees for her. It'd be the kind of thing that I think she would have been happy to have had done. I mean, you're doing some of the landscaping down on Old Rooster, you might want to consider that that's something that might be dedicated to her in some way. But that's, that's all your call.
No, appreciate it. These are all good thoughts.
And so, anyway, that's what I'd say on that. Having said that, I've got some questions on the fiscal on the agenda. I read the resolution for the issuance of 1.325 million in general revenue bonds. Because when I saw the agenda, I couldn't tell whether it was an industrial revenue, pass-through bond situation, or it was for something. Reading through it, the state statute requires an identification of what the bond proceeds are going to be used for. And all it says are, it basically quotes the language of the statute very, very generally, and you have no idea what the purpose of the 1.325 is for. Can you tell us what the 1.325 million will be used for? Is that for Cambridge? I've heard rumors that that's going to be torn down and rebuilt or something else. I've heard, but I can't tell.
Okay.
Reading this,
It's
whether
in the
it's
title.
out,
Okay.
this building, whatever.
And just for the sake of consistency, let's get through all your questions, because I just don't want to go back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest one.
Okay.
The second one is with the 160 that goes to Ms. Gray, and 1.325, that's almost $1.5 million. Your prior agreement, and by the way, I completely agree, fund the fire district. But that's being done for 10 years. That's effectively another $1.5 million, a little under, $450, I guess. Assuming it all stays the same for the next 10 years. That's $3 million being assumed. When Melissa had described what the budget would be for the township, and I recognize these are 10-year, for some of these liabilities, the 160 being presumably a fairly immediate approval. And I read the release, and it's got the ADEA language, the Metz and Baum language, all that good stuff. But you've got $3 million there. Melissa had indicated that after the COVID boost money goes away, we're going to be budgeting in the $5 million or a little over that range. It seems to me like you're using up a lot of the money. And has anybody done projections on how this is all going to work out, particularly since nobody's certain yet whether the marijuana money is going to stay the same, go down, go up, if only medical marijuana facilities sell this stuff. But have you done projections? Those are all my questions.
Okay. I'll let Melissa go deal with, talk more closely about the revenue bonds and such, but I appreciate that. Thank you, and thanks for the kind words about Susan, and go to that first thing. I know Brian's got some ideas on his mind as far as some of the things to pay tribute to Susan and her care, and the trees are a good idea. Where, when, sometimes somebody talks about benches and maybe even she loved dogs as a dog walk or some sort of event, so I appreciate that. That's positive. Okay, Melissa, you want to address some of the other questions?
I'd like to do it in the presentation to the board,
Okay.
because it's already in my comments to the
Okay.
to the board, part of the board's business meeting.
Okay, well then we'll address them later in the, when you read the resolutions. Okay,
I would just say it's very detailed what the 1.3 million is being spent on.
It's in the resolution.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
And you'll have access to that, obviously.
okay.
I've got to say, I hate to say, I read through the resolution that Melissa sent me today, which authorizes the hiring of Dinsmore, for example, as bond counsel, which is, they're the bond counsel, by, Tech Schaefer people. It's got Fifth Third Securities as a security issuance. But I didn't see anything in there that actually identified, is there an appendix to it that identifies what's going to be, the money's going to be used for?
Jack, why don't we address it there, and I'll leave the room that if there are questions that we haven't clarified, that maybe we can have a little more dialogue on that.
Thank you very much. That's fine.
Okay, so, all right, for the sake of that, moving on, then let's move on.
I do have a couple things still in open form just to
Okay,
read.
yep.
We had a email from resident Eric Bartle to Dustin, and he said, thank you, Dustin, great event last night. Just wanted to say thanks for all your hard work helping put it together. My kids absolutely loved the horse-drawn carriage and the massive Christmas tree. Thanks again. And also from Jeff Molsky, sorry if I said that wrong, business owner on Cambridge. Awesome event with an amazing turnout. I saw how hard the crew was working to get the event set up, and by the time I showed up the next day, the lot was spotless, which I greatly appreciate. Great job by the Columbia Township team.
Thanks, Jeff.
That's it. Okay, and then I think I'm next. November is the...
Just so we're
Oh,
clear.
sorry.
So now we move on to the fiscal officer's report with the wonderful Ms. Heekin.
Thank you. November is the next to last month of the 2023 budget year. Obviously, general fund ending balance is $4,135,451, which is up 22% from October. The restricted fund ending balance is $6,239,897, an increase of 3% from October. Combined, these funds total $10,375,348, which is up 10%. Revenues for November, $14,785. Expenses, $582,936. Year-to-date revenues are $6,530,548, and year-to-date expenses are $4,827,715. The first half of our property tax revenue settlement from Hamilton County occurred in March, and the second semi-annual settlement occurred in September, and posting was final in early November. The levies don't cover all the costs of our public services, which is why we are lucky that the businesses cover more than 80% of our public services. And thanks to the township and to Susan's success in attracting and supporting businesses, we can continue to provide our community with exceptional services at a lower cost to residents.
Thank you. Any questions about Ms. Heekin's report? Okay, we move on. Any questions about the road superintendent's report by Mr. Frazier?
No questions, but we see this every year. They do such an amazing job, especially with leaf pickup. Walking, I don't know how many miles a day it is, and how many pounds and tons of leaves they pick up. But our services are incredible, and I appreciate it. And you can tell the difference starting this time of year between us and other municipalities about how great our service is. So shout out to them. They're not just cleaning parking lots on the weekends; they're picking up leaves during the week. So they're amazing.
Very good point. I will always mention that they always make us look good. If people
That's
don't like
right.
us, they always love. We say, well, we got them. Okay, then we move on to administrator's report with Ms. Taylor.
I just have a few quick items this evening. Wanted to thank our team again for the Madison Place light up. To point out again that the crew, as well as Lauren, work their regular jobs during the daytime and then roll directly into evening events or weekend events. They don't take time off and then come back in. And really put a lot of effort into it and really get into it, provides suggestions for improvements, and it's been enjoyable to watch the team over the years that I've been here really step up and grow these events and really put their touch on them. On the subject of the team being out all day doing their regular duties, especially this is one of the busiest times of the year, as Brian mentioned, because we're doing regular brush pickup, we're doing and then we're doing seasonal leaf pickup. So Dustin, our road and facility superintendent, asked, Lauren is posting on social media and asked me to remind everyone that December 18th is the day for your leaves to be out for the final pickup, so December 18th. And then we'll be making the final trip through the township, I think through the 22nd is the last day. The 22nd is the last day. So the multi-month program will be coming to an end, and then we'll be talking at the next meeting about pickup of Christmas trees and recycling of that as well. We had as we've talked about this evening, we had a wonderful year, many events, and so we still have a partnership event going on with 50 West, the ice rink at 50 West Brewing, and we mailed to all of the homes for the code for them to, all of our residents and their guests to have free entry into the rink, and it's also on I think 50 West's website as well. So our next event.
And real quick, just to reiterate, all Columbia Township residents skate for free. So just however you figure it out, there's a way to do it, but that's the short answer to that.
Correct. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And so our next event, so the ice skating is typically, I know it's dependent on the weather, but typically through early February, early mid-February. And then we'll roll right into March with St. Patrick's Day. So we wouldn't want to miss 1 month for to bring the community together. And then I heard that as of today, all of the new neighborhood economic development, NED the Bulldog, street trees for phase 2 have been planted. So total last year and this year, 600 plus trees. The last one went in, and so that's a great accomplishment for that program. And then in today's meeting, it is on the agenda for the Madison Place Firehouse. We have a whole bundle of resolutions all run together for the firehouse. We will be accepting or asking the trustees to accept the bid from the contractor to redevelop the Madison Place Firehouse. And so Susan, my understanding is that she grew up in Madison Place. I don't recall if she was born in Madison Place. I'm sorry. But she had so many memories of growing up in Madison Place. And so the firehouse redevelopment was really important to her. And her brother was a volunteer firefighter there. And then her brother also died younger than he should have. And so one of the publications that we put out in our news magazine, we featured a page exclusively to Susan's brother and Susan's memories of him. And she wanted to be able to stand there when we reopened that firehouse. So we definitely, when we're talking about something that's a tribute to her, all of the pots in the spring and the fall are all for her in our gateways. And definitely, the discussion of all the trustees on wanting to reinvest in the neighborhoods with trees. I also think that it would be really special to Susan to put something on the firehouse or in the firehouse because that brings her full circle from when she was a young girl running around the neighborhood and stopping by the firehouse and having Girl Scout in the basement and things like that. So let's do that for her.
There you go, Jack. We got the Susan Tribute answer there. Another idea. Okay. Any questions about the administrator's report? We move on to the Economic Development Quarterly Report. Any questions about that? Anything significant to add or mention here, Melissa? Anything to highlight?
No.
January.
Okay. Then we move on to the police report with Lieutenant Neighbor.
Obviously, the Sheriff's Department's had a long history with Susan. Sheriff, the majors, captains, all the different lieutenants and officers that have worked in Columbia Township. Some got a chance to meet Susan, some didn't.
short period of time I did get to know her in the last couple of years. She's been a true support for the Sheriff's Department, so our condolences to her family and all of you for the loss of Susan. A couple meetings ago, I don't know if you guys remember talking of trees before and her love of the outdoors. Matter of fact, there was a tree that bloomed that she was very excited about. Does anybody remember that?
I remember her saying it, but I don't remember.
I remember her saying it in a meeting, a couple meetings ago, wasn't that long ago, that she brought it up. So, I don't know, just as a thought for your plans for the future.
You're our archivist, and we'll figure that out, but I appreciate the suggestion.
She wanted to know what the tree was.
You know, and the Christmas tree lighting event was a great event. I don't know if y'all know this, but I was serenaded by the carolers. As I'm directing traffic, they came up to me and they decided that they wanted to sing a song just for me as I stood in the middle of the intersection. It was special.
Nearly getting hit.
Yeah.
That's not really a joke.
It actually almost did, but
Like a good neighbor.
yes. But anyway, I don't have anything more that I could possibly say that relates to the township, except that our support is with the family.
Appreciate that.
That's all the Sheriff's Department has to say this month.
And we feel the same way too. As bad as we all feel, we really feel for what went in, the kids and everybody else.
She was an absolute inspiration to the Sheriff's Department and working with our department and making us a joint venture.
She was a throwback slice of Americana. You couldn't help but to smile when you saw Susan. Just a good soul, good, simple soul. Okay, any questions about the police report? Mr. Lamar, you are going to bring us up to date with the Little Miami Joint Fire and Rescue and also the Deer Park Silverton and Rescue. And we have Lieutenant Sifke out in the audience, so hello. Chief Sifke, I'm sorry. Thank you. See, these are why these guys are here.
We promoted him a couple years ago.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize, Chief. I get called the wrong names all the time, so. All right.
Yeah. So I think the main thing I wanted to point out, which is another event, and it's one of my favorite ones, is this Saturday. It is our Breakfast with Santa at the Little Miami Fire and Rescue Firehouse in Fairfax. There will be pancakes, sausage, juice, pictures with Santa. It's $5. All the firemen will be there serving and cooking, and 8 to 11 I'll be there. Hopefully some other people can stop by, but it's a great event. Get to climb on the fire trucks. I say that every time. Love climbing on the fire trucks. And so, yeah, do you want to say something, Chief?
Chief's 12 and under free.
12 and under free, thank you. Yeah, so bring all the kids, most importantly. And that's all.
Okay. Okay, we move on to trustee reports. I think we've had a lot to say, but is there anything more you want to add?
One quick thing
You
is
go.
that we've talked about the holiday lighting event, and it was incredibly successful. I don't need to belabor it any longer, but I wanted to thank our small businesses, including 50 West. And Lauren, thank you for mentioning them all on our social, but it's Angelo's Pizza, Madison Place Coffee Shop, Ludwig Photo and Video, Claire's Cakery, Meraki Collective, 50 West, Marymount Players, which by the way is in Columbia Township, Marymount Players, and the Cincinnati Christmas Carolers, and there was a couple more that helped with the petting zoo and the rides. And so, we try to support our small businesses when we have these events, and it's great to see it all come together and then working together and embracing this as well. It was just great to be there.
And again, tribute to the 50 West guys. You guys are really big players in this town. Appreciate you coming, and every event from, building these things brick by brick, you guys showing up has really built that sense of community. It really feels different. And again, you guys have watched all this magic for 12 years now, and it's just amazing to see it come together. So thank you. Thank her for being a great business, great advocate. And I know Mike Ty, you paid tribute to what they do down on the campus and help with the bike trail. You guys are just tremendous, tremendous, tremendous corporate citizens and givers back to the community. So keep it up, and good luck with your new ventures, Bobby. I'm sure you got a lot on your plate. Yeah. Okay. Now we move on. Any questions about communications? Okay, now we move on to the motions, and as always, I transfer this over to people that are wiser and smarter than me to read them so I don't mess them up. So, you go. Melissa, you're on.
I'm
There's a lot of them.
So I'm requesting that the trustees make a motion authorizing a $145,000 payment to the Little Miami Fire and EMS District for the first year 2023 member subsidy toward the district's firehouse debt as approved previously in Resolution 2330. And I note also that Fairfax will be making its payment for 2023 also, which is $121,000.
I make a motion that we approve it. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes. And we move on to resolutions.
Resolution. So we were unable to finalize a supplemental resolution. We'll bring that forward at a next meeting. We had a couple of things that we needed to add to it, so I'm going to skip that. We wait on items to come in sometimes from other vendors and such for that. So I'm going to go through the agenda. I would like to point out that with the loss of Susan, we are doing all first readings, and then we will dispense with the second reading, which means these resolutions, if the board passes them, will be approved in 30 days. Typically, when we have a contract, such as we do for the firehouse bid or a financial matter, we will pass those as emergency so that we can move forward to make a commitment with the other party, but we are unable to do that at this time. So every one of these will be first reading and then dispense with the second reading. And we have quite a few, so let me start. The first one, Resolution 2348, requesting the county auditor to make an advance payment of taxes due in any settlement of 2024 and dispensing with the second reading. This is a function that we pass every year at the beginning, typically at the end of the year, into the budget year, the beginning of the new budget year. What this helps us do is the county auditor typically provides real property tax payments to our funds twice a year. You hear us talk about with Ms. Egan, first half settlement, second half settlement. So we receive our lump sum settlement in the first half of the year, second payment in the second half of the year. This enables us in the event there's a lot of work that's required when you get a multi-million-dollar settlement. All of those funds have to be entered into the different accounts. And as we're looking to streamline some of our business processes, it's helpful if we can actually do them on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. And a lot of communities do this, as well as the Little Miami Fire Clerk for the Little Miami Fire District does this as well. So that you're receiving, as you typically would receive a paycheck once a month, you're receiving funds instead of large amounts twice a year, you're receiving more regular amounts monthly. So any questions? May I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution?
Make a motion to approve. There is a second.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes? Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It happens. Okay.
Now we have to dispense. Sorry. I'm
Okay.
sorry, Mel.
Dispense.
May I have a motion and a second to dispense with the second reading?
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Resolution 2349, authorizing a renewal of an agreement for professional services for general economic development assistance for the term of February the 1st, 2024 through January 31st, 2025, which sounds like a space movie, 2025. Wow. Authorizing the administrator to enter into an agreement with Alloy Development Company, formerly known as Hamilton County Development Company, and dispensing with the second reading. We have an amazing economic development liaison in Dustin Montgomery, worth every penny. And I'm requesting that we continue our relationship. As I've said before, we have core staff members and we have many bolt-on expert contractors, including Chandra and Jerry Frankenhoff, who is our arborist we've talked about earlier today. Dustin Montgomery is one of those individuals that brings expertise far beyond that we could afford to have on staff, but because we pay on a part-time contract basis, we're able to get the best. And Alloy, interestingly, did not raise their rate this year, so they are continuing their rate previously, which is $28,230 for the year, which is no increase over the current contract.
And to your point, talking to a lot of the other developers, I mean, Dustin's on it, so what you hear, he's responsive and he is on it, so he's a good asset, so. I make a motion that we approve, or, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
And then we have a motion to dispense with the second reading.
Make a motion, we do so. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
All right, thank you. The next resolution, 2350, adopting the Hamilton County Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan and dispensing with the second reading. Every 5 to 7 years, the Hamilton County Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency updates a multi-hazard mitigation plan and engages all of the communities in the development of that plan update, and then asks all communities to adopt the plan. The plan is risk-based, meaning that the agency, Hamilton County agencies and all of the local communities look at a history of disasters, a history of incidents, and then build planning into managing those in the future. When I was fresh out of college and working for the Department of Defense, I was on the disaster response team, and we did the same. So I have a profound understanding and appreciation for the level of detail that goes into these, as well as doing all of the training. The plan itself is 1,044 pages long, and so what I did, if anyone is interested, I have a link to the county page that you can download it, and it also has a summary on that link that will kind of give you highlights for how they identify risk, how they assess the cost of risk, what the strategies are to mitigate risk, and it's also natural as well as unfortunately today technology type risks as well. And then it guides communities in being supporting and engaged partners in any type of deployment in the event of a risk. So anybody has an interest in that, reach out. You also, if you Google Hamilton County, if you can remember, Hamilton County Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan, the link will pop up. Any questions on that?
I make a motion, we approve. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes. I make a motion, we dispense with the second
you.
reading. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
The next request to the trustees is Resolution 2351, authorizing the administrator to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Urban Forestry Grant Program and to execute contracts as required, and dispensing with the second reading. So in short, the U.S. Department of Ag provided funds, I believe they're through the final stimulus, federal stimulus, down through ODNR, the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. And so the ODNR is soliciting applications and from government agencies and nonprofits. And interestingly, you have to have an established forestry program in order to utilize the money, because they want you to have the knowledge and the expertise to expand the forestry in the community, to improve clean air, clean water, increase property values, reduce stormwater runoff, and reduce energy demands, which are all of the things that come from the Jerry Frankenhoff Bible of forestry. And what we have is because of the generosity of the medical marijuana funds and the trustees' decision to invest that first year entire medical marijuana receipts into our NED program. What we don't have is ongoing funding for Jerry to continue or to do risk mitigation and to expand the our urban forestry plan. And so I'm going to apply for this grant. It's very thick. I'll be doing this over the holidays if anyone wants to join me. So if anyone would like to see a copy of it, I'm happy to provide that, but it was too thick to put in the packet. And so I'm asking you for permission. You know, I'm the grant hog. Grants hog, I like to go after them. They are time consuming, I always say, and it's great to get the money, but there's also reporting and compliance on the tail end of it, which is very time consuming as well, but we don't want to leave money on the table. And that's how we're able to do more with less from real estate property taxes that we receive. So are any questions on that?
No, I make
Okay.
a,
I have a quick
Yeah.
question, I'm sorry. So this would basically be retaining the services of Jerry to continue what he's doing in terms of maintenance of trees, of current trees?
He would be able to establish an ongoing program. It wouldn't be indefinite, but it would be,
Yeah.
he would help us set up an ongoing maintenance tree health program, as well as look at areas that are still do not have sufficient tree canopies. And then, interestingly as well, they were very excited to hear that we had just put in 600 trees, and they said that it was very important that, as we know, but we didn't have the funds to do it beyond the first year, very important for young, they call it young tree care. Again,
Yeah.
I'm learning another language. So young tree care, because it is so vital for the maturity of trees and the longevity of trees, almost like humans, what happens in the first early years of your life helps you lead a much longer life. Well, it's the same for trees. So
Oh,
they
no.
were very excited about that. They reached out to us and said, "You are going to apply, right?" And we said, "Yes, we are."
yes.
So we thought that was good to hear.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
And since Melissa's done a lot of talking, I'll make a motion we dispense with the second reading. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes. I thought I'd take some stuff off your plate.
It sounds like a great grant. I hope we, good luck.
And I think the minimum is $50,000.
Oh.
$50,000.
It's a lot of Jerry.
All right, so next begins the bundle for the Madison Place Firehouse. And I appreciate, John, we knew in our heads we had a bundle of everything firehouse, and I write all of the resolutions, except this time I did not write the bond resolution. Our bond counsel wrote it, and I agree it should have the name of the firehouse reconstruction on it, so we can make a motion to correct that or to add that. It's not a mistake, it's just a clarification. So the next four that I'm going to, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we bundled all of the firehouse documents together, so we will start those, and then we'll talk more about the projections when we get to that particular piece. So Resolution 2352, the day has come. Accepting a construction bid and awarding a contract to Perkins Carmack Construction LLC for Madison Place Firehouse redevelopment as Columbia Township's multi-purpose community, senior and event center and small office, authorizing the administrator to enter into a contract with Perkins Carmack and dispensing with the second reading. We conducted a 5-month public bidding for the firehouse, including special invitations to minority general contractors. Hamilton County said we went above and beyond anything that anyone has ever done to reach out to minority contractors for any of their grant programs. And so we received 6 proposals, 3 were from minority contractors. The lowest, most responsive bid was not from a minority contractor, but we really appreciated that this project drew that type of attention, particularly when a lot of the contractors have very full project schedules. This is a big project to us, it's significant to us, but in the scheme of the general contracting world in the greater Cincinnati region, it is not a big project. And we had a full house in the pre-bid meeting for people who were interested, and then, as I said, 6 that came in. The Perkins and Carmack Construction LLC, which is a Milford-based contractor, as part of our selection of them, separate from that they were the lowest bid, we're responsible for making sure that they are a responsible contractor. Our project team called different communities in the region and also spoke to our design firm about experiences with this company, And I'm making a recommendation to you on behalf of our project team that we accept the bid of Perkins Carmack. The final bid is $2.255 million, so $2,255,000. I want to remind everybody that when we first started down this Let's Return the Firehouse to the Community, Yellow Brick Road, that we secured $515,000 in grants. So we have those funds that will be available. We've been using some of those grant funds as we have worked through preliminary improvements on the firehouse. And then we have other resolutions that will request that we move some funds into, loan funds into the TIF, the Plainville TIF, which will actually pay debt service on bonds for the firehouse. So all of these are stacked
And
together.
the Plainville TIF, to be specific, is
The
really
Plainville TIF.
is the Woosty TIF.
Is the Woosty TIF.
That's
Right.
the
Correct.
tax revenues that come from his dealership expansion, just to clarify for the public.
So we can talk about that a little bit more. So because these are in a row, one is contingent on the next, is contingent on the next. So the language is in the resolution, specifically in the sections at the bottom, that your acceptance of this bid is contingent on that we accept that we're going to move forward with the financing and so on. And so if we, any questions come up any later, it would nullify any of these. So it's not, it's, one is connected to the other.
Okay.
So
Okay. So we're ready to make a motion?
are any questions or?
I'm good.
Okay.
We
Not
chatted.
yet.
Right, okay, so,
Okay, I make a motion, we approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yeah, I make a motion, we dispense with the second reading. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
give me a second, I've got to get to the next one. Okay, all right. In 2021, the trustees authorized, well, let me back up even further. In 2020, when we embarked on this project, and in 2020, when the Woosty Group moved forward with its expansion, significant multi-million-dollar investment in their business location in the Plainville Business District, we set up a Plainville TIF, which allowed us to capture the new tax revenues on the new revenue from the new investment on the Woosty showrooms, and put it into, after we pay the Cincinnati School District their full amount, put it into the TIF. So basically, we're keeping those new dollars that are generated by the business district, we're keeping them in the business district, and then we're going to reinvest them directly into the Madison Place neighborhood and the Plainville Business District. So initially, I requested in 2021, the next year, an advance of $500,000 from general fund to go into the Plainville TIF for us to begin using some of those funds, and also anticipating that the project was going to be able to move further along more quickly, but the COVID impacts very much did a slow roll on us. So we have that $500,000 in our approval already in a prior advance to move into the Plainville TIF. In the 2024 budget process this past summer, we added another $500,000 to the 2024 budget. So we have 2021's $500,000, and we have another $500,000 in 2024, and so we have $1 million. And so what I am asking is that we modify the original $500,000 resolution from 2021 to add the $500,000 from the 2024 budget, and then we would put it into the Plainville TIF. And then the Plainville TIF is expected in tax year 2023 or 4, I think it's 4, to fully begin to pay into the TIF, and then we would, it would then pay for the debt service on the bonds, and also pay the township back for this $1 million. So, and I'll explain that when we get to the next piece. But the TIF, in terms of the projection, I know that Jack's question was projections on the bond, but we do projections on anything that moves. We do projections on anything financially. We always do projections on. So we did a projection, and let's go back a couple of years when I sat before you and explained that we were establishing the Plainville TIF. The projections for the Plainville TIF were that based on the total investment that Woostie makes in that site, that the Plainville TIF has the potential to generate in the 30-year TIF period more than $3 million. And that was a conservative estimate. And that is after the school payment. So that is net to us. School payment is more than a third. It's not quite 40, it's 35%. So it's substantially, it's a very substantial TIF, and that is just from that one project, as other companies may invest in the Plainville Business District, which is the point of us taking these funds and keeping them local. Then those new investments will be captured and will go into the TIF as well, and will accelerate any of the economic development financing that we're doing for that as well. So we will be able to, if it goes according to projections, we will, as the township, be able to be paid back for the million that we advance into the TIF, as well as the TIF will cash flow to make the debt service on the proposed bond note.
Okay. Jack, I know I mentioned that we talked about this. Did you have a quick question?
I have a quick question. I do appreciate the
Explanation.
opening line on the resolution where it just referred to the senior center and
And we'll
without
we'll add that.
identifying what property. The bonds are going to have, there'll be general fund bonds. That is, it'll be not against the TIF fund, but against the general fund for the township. That's a question, actually. Is that what is anticipated? Is that the 1.325 mil will, if the bondholders have to look for it, something runs short, do they go against the general fund? Do they go against the TIF? That's the question.
So we initially are actually going to do notes. The language in the resolution provides for bonds, but we're looking at 1 year, so there would be notes in order to, we have the opportunity to accelerate the debt pay down, because depending on the revenues from medical marijuana and other sources like that. So we're going to do short-term notes first. And then we're going to, depending on how well that goes the first few years, then if there's a balance left, we would go out and issue bonds. So when we get to that next resolution, because that's the next resolution, we still need to vote on the advance. But I know it's a little more complicated than probably, I mean.
Appreciate it.
I've been doing these my whole career, but that doesn't matter. My role is to make sure that what we're doing is clear to everyone in the room. And so it's, similar to, a mortgage. You have to identify sources of revenue in order to pay the debt. And I know you're very familiar with all of these, but no, it's not an IRB or it's not even a bond.
Yeah.
So just to, help everyone understand, we're going to go for a 1-year note initially, and then another 1-year note. And so each time I will come back to the board for an update on the pay down in that first year, what the balance remaining is, and then ask to extend the note. The reason that we, with bond counsel, Dinsmore, as you pointed out, did that is because we have the TIF and we know the TIF is going to begin generating net deposits, but the TIF is not at its full, is not at its full potential yet. Because
It's
the
not
auditor
attached.
works in half years, and so the auditor picks up new construction value at a certain point in a tax year, and that tax year is in arrears. So we're only in tax year 22 now as we sit here at the end of 2023, the real calendar year. So we have to get into tax year 2023 in 2024 and potentially into early 2025 to know what that payment will be. And so in the interim, we do expect to continue to have at least several years of medical marijuana dispensary payments because the medical marijuana payments are paid a year after the year is ended. So in June of this year, we will receive the medical marijuana dispensary revenue sharing for this year, which will be a full year. And because there seems to be some back and forth on, what's happening with the legislation, but we have been very careful to this board's credit, my recommendation, and to Jack's point, I have used the terminology in this room before many times. We will never hitch our wagon to the medical marijuana donkey or horse. So because we have to, for our programs and our staff and our projects, must have dedicated funding streams. The medical marijuana is not a dedicated funding stream. So that is why the board has chosen to invest it in improving the community in one-off type projects, but we never would obligate any debt to a horse that could bolt or die. So,
OD.
yes. So we have made sure that with our bond counsel, who's very reputable, and I've worked with Brenda Waymer since I was in Mason in 1995 and again in Westchester. So here we are again, very conservative, very reputable. And so let's wrap up, if we can, the advance of the cash, which the TIF is projected, term of the night, to pay back. And then we can go on to the bond, which we kind of already have explained. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, let's go.
David, do you want to jump in?
No, I make a motion, we approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes. And I dispense with the second reading. I make a motion, we do so. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Thank you for that explanation. This is why we have an administrator. That was impressive. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was.
And more to come.
I try to reduce things to sound bites, but not everybody is as good as that. David's kind of the master at that. I want to make sure I'm keeping up here. All right, I'm going to read the title of the resolution. When we move to make a motion to adopt this, I would like to ask that you make a motion that we modify the title, which is allowed under public meeting law, that we can make a public motion. We'll modify the title as was recommended, and I agree, as I said, by Jack, that we should specify, not simply because it's sandwiched in between other resolutions, we should specify, and that was my oversight when I received it from the bond counsel. So we'll do that. So, resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of not to exceed $1.325 million Township Building Improvement Limited Tax General Obligation Bond Anticipation Notes, Series 2024, and dispensing with the second reading. So this resolution is multiple pages long. It is standard bond obligation and anticipation note language, and what it states is that you are authorizing me only to seek proposals from public and private entities who would issue bonds, notes, whichever we select, and you're putting a sum, not to exceed sum, 1.325 million, which is higher than the bid amount because we need some flexibility. We built in some flexibility for note issuance costs and also for some fluctuation in the interest rate. You are also, we did schedules for the notes anywhere from 5.5 to 5.56, 6.5% interest at 15 and I think 15 and 20 years. So I have multiple schedules on these, and so we have chosen to ask you that we believe it could be approximately 6.5%. But when we actually go out to price the bonds and we will fix the interest rate, we will know then. But you are capping for me 6.5%. And I went through a lot more detail when we were talking previously about what the obligation of the notes will be. As I said, we start out with a 1-year note, and the Plainville TIF is already, as I said, cash flowing. It's just not the full amount, so there already is money in the Plainville TIF. And if we issue the notes in February, if the contractor would begin work probably in January. Demolition is the first, and so we would use the cash that is sitting in the TIF to pay the initial contractor draws. We would move forward to close on the notes end of February, and then we would then shift over to use the funds on hand from the note. And then when the first and then second semi-annual payment is due, we would then look at, it would be after the medical marijuana payments are made for the year, and then we would know more about the Plainville TIF. So we've really thought this through, and we have multiple sources of income that we can pull this from. And I also want to point out that we have over $1 million, not over $1 million, we have almost $1 million in OPWC debt. When we construct Cambridge, which is next, $1.7 million project, depending on the bid, we will then have about $1 million worth of OPWC debt. Before we add that to our OPWC debt stack, our annual payments for almost $800,000 worth of debt is $44,000 a year. So I realize that that's no interest, and the firehouse will be at interest, and so there's, it's not exact, but the township already is in the debt business, and we know what our total debt is. We know what all of our dedicated debt streams are paid from, and we are very comfortable with this amount. So if you, I can answer questions also, but if you decide to move forward and make a motion, make the first motion to amend the title.
I make a motion, we amend the title. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Do we have to do a dispense with a second reading on that?
No.
Okay, good.
Any questions?
Nope.
I would just like to say this is impressive, the complexity around this. And so I'll do one more kudos to the Ms. Hughes and Mr. Kubicki for the hiring of Ms. Taylor. This is unbelievable how you're doing this. So thank you.
We have expert counsel.
I know.
And I would not, if I had not been through this more than a few times.
That's why you're here,
I have
though.
to admit my age. But yeah, I would not recommend that we would do something that we're not comfortable with. But as I said, we're already in the debt business on our TIF, economic development. We are in with OPWC, and this is I think at the end of the day, the firehouse redevelopment, giving it back to the community, is going to be paid for by a neighboring business. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Not by any revenues, any resident revenues, even though the residents are the almost exclusive beneficiary. None of the money being transferred from the general fund to the Plainville TIF. It's all business income. So even that piece that will be paid back and the debt service is all going to be business-based. So the residents are getting the firehouse returned to them in a phenomenal way, and it's not coming from their pockets.
All great stuff. Okay.
So may I have a motion and a second to pass the resolution?
I make a motion, we pass the resolution. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes. I make a motion, we dispense with the second reading. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Okay. Continuing on the subject of the firehouse, I have two quick professional contracts that I'm asking that you allow me to enter into. You're familiar with, I've sat in front of you before when the project manager for the firehouse recommended that we pull items out of waiting for the firehouse bid and order them in advance. Because if we waited until the bid, it could delay the construction because of the shortages on materials and that type of thing. This is similar but different. I have two resolutions. Both of them involve network, fire, security, cabling, and the project manager for the firehouse, who's a former Procter & Gamble guy, again, we bolt on this expertise, and Jeff Brooker, our IT contract manager, who has been with the township for years, said absolutely pull out security, network from a general bid, and make sure you do proposals and award it to a firm that you're comfortable establishing a multi-year relationship with. And so we did that, and this is the result, and I'll read both of them. I'll read one of them and then the next one. So Resolution 2355, authorizing the Township Administrator to enter into a contract with Silco for fire and security, access control, and interior-exterior camera security for the Madison Place Firehouse redevelopment project and dispensing with the second reading.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Okay.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
I make a motion, we dispense with the second reading. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr.
Roll call.
Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Okay, take two. This one is Resolution 2356, same conditions. Authorizing the Township Administrator to enter into a contract with Professional Cabling Solutions, PCS, for a network system for the Madison Place Firehouse redevelopment project and dispensing with the second reading.
I make a motion, we approve. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes. I'll make a motion, we dispense with the second reading. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr.
Roll.
Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes. Love it. Okay.
All right, 3 to go. The next resolution, 2357, these are all staff related. Amending Resolution 2203, establishing employee hourly rates and ranges effective January 1, 2024, and dispensing with the second reading. There's only one change on this document that originally was passed in 2020 and then updated last year, and that is under our resident care customer service events coordinator. I am asking to adjust the maximum hourly up from basically $25 to $30, so that as time goes by, I'm able to provide raises to one of our most beloved and top performing employees. So that's only one change on this whole document.
I make a motion, we approve. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Thanks, Brian.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes. I make a motion, we dispense with the second reading. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes. The beloved Ms. Lauren Allison. We need people like that to make up for people like me, don't we?
Yeah.
All about balance.
Okay.
Okay.
What'd you say?
All about balance.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay. So next resolution, Resolution 2358, authorizing the administrator to award one-time discretionary bonuses to recognize employee exemplary performance and dispensing with the second reading. I am requesting that you will provide to me a total one-time budget of $15,000 so that I can award bonuses to our hourly employees only. It will be a one-time payment, and it will be based on exemplary work, achievement, of our goals for community engagement, outstanding public service delivery. We have a phenomenal team. It has been, as I've said before, during COVID, we were here. All of the initial years of COVID, we worked full-time. We were essential services and a lot of overtime. And this past year, as we have ramped up our events, both in the number of events and the scale of events, we're working a lot, as well as covering for shortages in the office. And I want to show to this incredible team that is basically required to be available 24/7 in often really difficult circumstances to continuously provide public services. I want to be able to show our appreciation to them with a one-time bonus.
I'm all in. I make a motion, no, you gotta read it, don't you? Did you read it?
I read.
Okay, I'll
Thank
make a
you.
motion, we approve. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Roll
Mr.
call.
Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes. I make a motion, we dispense with the second reading. Do I hear a second?
Yes.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
A quick comment. I was doing research today for both Jed and Susan Hughes, and I saw when the Jed was first formed that the board voted to give the staff a raise. And I think it was a 3% raise based upon JED funds. And I found that really interesting. And, you know, we had a JED meeting earlier today, and the JED has grown from, you know, $600,000 or $700,000 per year to 1.5, 1.6 million.
Yeah,
And so
1.5.
I'm happy that our employees are loyal. They work hard, like you said, on weekends and nights, and unbelievable. So I'm happy to vote for that. So thank you.
And having really, really, really good employees is critical, even if you have to take care of them and do good things for them. They can get employment anywhere if they're good, and they love working here, and they love the team. They do. So I just, there's a great sense of camaraderie between them. They all respect each other's spots. And Dustin's done an incredible job of just being an unsung hero, just a likable, simple guy that creates no drama, solves problems. Those are guys you want on your team all day long, and everybody knows their spot, and they love this community. They really do. It's really something to be said. So I'm all in on taking care of them and doing whatever, because in the private sector, they would be getting bonuses, they'd be pulled out.
That's right.
It's a really cool to have great guys on your team, and whatever we want to do, we can do to create ways to keep them, we should be doing.
And even the temporary guy we hired, incredibly likable, hardworking guy. Remember my name.
Yeah.
I've seen him a couple times out with leaves, and it's amazing what they can find and what you all are doing. So thank you.
Okay. That,
Okay. All right, last one. Resolution 2359, authorizing the Township Administrator to enter into an agreement and general lease with Mrs. Kimberly Gray Evans and dispensing with the second reading.
I'll make a motion, we approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes. I make a motion, we dispense with the second reading. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'd make a motion to approve of the payment of bills, bank reconciliation, and financial reports. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes. And I make a motion for the signing of minutes and resolutions.
A second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes. And I'll just take one more second before we go. It's the holiday season. We're gonna have a great year next year. Sad about this and things, so one more shout out to Susan and her family, and be in our thoughts and the prayers over the holidays. I can't imagine how tough that would be. Everyone else have a great, great Christmas, great holiday, and a Happy New Year. We got great things happening. 2024 Firehouse is exciting. Great things are happening, but it's trying to contrast on balance what's going on here with the Hughes family. So have a great holiday. And anything else you want to add, Brian? You always do. You close us out this year.
Oh my gosh. It's just been an honor to serve, and I was, during all these resolutions, Susan and I had always had this little game. I always tried to defer to her on who got to second the motion, and I missed that. So it was a good reminder when
She
you...
always won the tie.
Oh, she always won the tie.
Thanks to everybody here that said nice things to Susan. It was great to hear. I know it means a ton to her family. This place, her serving on this board, meant the world to her, and this community did too. So Thank you for the tributes. Again, happy holidays, and with that, I make a motion that we adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar.
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki.
Yes.